Welcome back, everyone, to a beautiful day here on the California coast for another round of the CiL Formula College World Championship. Tonight, we bring you our West Coast Grand Prix as we return to WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca, the first of many Grand Prix this season on North American soil. This track, Laguna Seca, has become a staple of North American and global motorsport, hosting the MotoGP US Grand Prix as well as a weekend of IMSA sports car competition. And tonight, round two of Formula C. 11 turns on this 2.23 mile, 3.36 kilometer track, 6 to the left, 5 to the right, including the infamous corkscrew corner, one of the wildest, most hair-raising turns in all of motorsports. Lap times here should be at about the 1 minute 22.6 second mark, with the race lap record belonging to Nicholas Daly of UT Arlington at 121.125. A lap at Laguna Seca starts out with a fast uphill, then downhill straightaway through the turn one bend. Then we find ourselves immediately at our first major overtaking zone, the Andretti hairpin. Two right-handers afterwards through turns 3 and 4 sets us up for turn 5, then a short uphill shoot to the turn 6 kink and a long climb up the mountain towards turn 7 and 8, the corkscrew, our second major overtaking zone for the Brave. A blind left-right dance that drops the driver 60 feet down the mountain into rainy curve. Then two short shoots on either side of turn 10 sends the drivers to the final corner, turn 11, our third and final overtaking zone. And Josh, this is one of the wildest, most exciting circuits that we have on the Formula C schedule this season. It's a driver favorite, and I think a lot of drivers are really looking forward to the race here tonight.
Yeah, for sure. It's there's a reason that it's so popular both in iRacing and the community and sim racing, and it's a unique track. You mentioned the corkscrew that presents a lot of challenges. See all those this evening, and right now we get to see these cars navigate this course and each other right now as they go out, set their times. It is a track temp 104 or so. So anytime you get up over 100, and obviously that's not cloudy 100, that's going to be a pretty sunny 100 degrees Fahrenheit because we're in California here. And that's going to be a little bit slicker. There's going to be a little bit less grip for these drivers. And these cars, the F4 cars, are really, really fun, exciting, but they are used as well by like the Skip Barber School, for instance. And the reason that is they communicate a lot of information to drivers. So we're really going to be treated tonight, Zach, to seeing these drivers try and get the most out of their machines, and they're going to be able to control the cars that they have and the environment around them with their right and left foot, and some of their steering inputs, but really the way they control that weight transfer here. This track pretty key right here as we go on board with Muhammad Alif. You can see Ball State there. This long run is what Zach was talking about as he starts his qualifying full steam ahead, and he'll dive down into turn 1. This is where you can either make it a late apex. Looks like it's going to be a little bit of curve there and a little bit of curve after, as you can see Ball State coming off the curve. Now, this is going to be a flying lap, I assume, for Alif, but he'll want to mind the traffic ahead. You can see the group qualifying here in the Formula Challenge. Formula College, and then back into the corner. You can be flat out if you're courageous through that corner right there, that quick kink. Can he get by the inside so the lap not too compromised, though he had a really big entry right there, kind of shallow. That's going to take a time. Up to the run, you can't see the apex until you're almost there. You can see just a little bit of hesitation in the steering wheel from one of our most talented drivers. Anybody's liable to be caught out. Down into the corkscrew, can't see over the top, know where your car is and where the track is, and there you go. Back on the gas pretty rapidly. You can see up through 4th gear, and now this is such a fun part of the track. Maybe my favorite, Zach, as he comes to complete his lap. It's just a touch, and then back to the gas through the final to last turn, and then back again through the last turn. Just a little curb, and keeping it within track limits, and nicely done. Did have a we'll be able to see as that scoring tower comes in just where that time lands. And it looks like it landed pretty well.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you mentioned about these cars. These cars are considered by some to be the Mazda MX-5 Miata. of open wheel racing. They're light, they're nimble, they're quick, low horsepower, lots of downforce, and it makes for great racing. And it's one of the fan favorite cars on the service. Is there you saw our Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University, our runner-up, second place podium finisher from last season in Formula C, has made his return back out onto the track, currently on provisional pole with a 21.989. Currently the only driver to break sub 122, as we saw a little incident between a couple drivers right there. I believe that is Carl Lemkel and a couple of other drivers. There's another little spin right there. Track temperature, like you mentioned earlier, it's very hot out there, very slick. You can lose control of your car very quickly, but also it's a very windy out there. It's a very windy day out there today, 12-mile-an-hour winds. So I think a lot of these drivers are going to have to navigate not only the push from the wind that they're going to get in the northwest direction, but also the extra downforce and drag that they're going to find going back into the southeast direction. As we're looking at John Dinkel right here, had a really good showing last week, loses it right there in turn 6, that little kink to the left. Had a really good showing last week at our British Grand Prix at Oulton Park in Sprint Race 1 and couldn't bring it home in Sprint Race 2, was involved in an incident there, so hopefully he'll have a nice rebound today at our West Coast Grand Prix. Carmen Caruso, St. John's University in that 08 machine, making his flying lap attempt right now. We're going to follow along and see where he goes. But I'm looking at the tower on the left. He's currently provisionally 4th place right now, starting 4th, 6/10 behind our provisional pole sitter Alif. And something else that I'm noticing is Ted Burns, our current points leader. He swept both sprint races last week at our British Grand Prix, currently sitting 7th provisionally right now. So still a lot of time left in this session, over halfway. Well, not exactly halfway yet in the session, but maybe a little concern right there out of that University of Madison, Wisconsin machine.
Yeah, it's tricky. He's got a little bit of time left to come back together with it. Wisconsin generally puts at least one lap together in these sessions. But as we get ready, Zach, I'm reminded that we see Alif right now up top for Ball State at the top of the charts. Wisconsin continuing to work on finding that best line through the corkscrew. It can be tricky, but got to call out Cale Davidson, representing Ball State last week, is here this evening, but had to really step up, had some early damage to Alif's car, and Ball State represented really well and really fast through Cale Davidson, and it's really cool to see that Ball State putting a couple drivers out that are complementing each other and running a really good strategy. And yeah, that's exciting. So we'll get to see. The other one that strikes me from last week is really close, but not as close as they'd like to be in the final corner. Some will remember Esteban Munoz from Florida International University and a little bit of contact. That Florida International University, they have the speed, but they, a solid weekend here, lest they end up, Zach, kind of 2 weekends in the hole would be a pretty big deficit at the outset of the season.
Yeah, FIU has some really, really strong drivers in Esteban Munoz and Luis Diaz, but they did really, really well in Sprint Race 1 last week at Oulton Park, brought home some really good results for FIU, and then everything fell apart for them in Sprint Race 2 as both of them were involved in an incident that took out a lot of really, really good cars. So hopefully this will be a nice rebound week for these FIU drivers. They can score some more points for their school and stay in this championship hunt, but you mentioned it. With 7 rounds in the season, if you have 2 rounds pretty much go in the hole, there's not a lot of good luck can be had from that, and it really takes an impact on it really has an impact on the team dynamics and the team motives as well. You have these 2 seasoned drivers as we look at Esteban Munoz, one of those FIU machines right now, making his way down the corkscrew. Esteban and Luis have brought in 2 new drivers in Nunez and Pacheco. They're 2 rookies here to the CIL that they've taken them under their wing. They're going to try to not only capitalize on their success, but also teach the young rookies how things work around here, how to go for it. And I think they've done an excellent job so far, as we're going to see this FIU machine complete his first flying lap. We're going to see where that puts him on the tower. That was an outlet. lap. Sorry. So this will be Esteban's first flying lap attempt. We're going to follow along and see how well he does right now. Just under 4 minutes left in qualifying. Alif did improve on his time earlier, a 1:21.5. It's a little mistake right there. Too much curb for that number 9 machine. And he's going to take a nice little spin and almost collects another car. I believe that was Carmen Caruso.
It was indeed, and Formula One fans will reminisce back to a similar situation in Monza a couple years ago. But yeah, you know, we've seen, especially Ball State and our Muhammad being able to take a lot of that curb well, and sometimes the car will kind of absorb that. Not that you want to make a habit out of machines, but it can be done. But yeah, a little bit right there, just didn't hit it the right way. You really want to hit it along long edge, but Munoz right there, pretty aggressive, a direct attack, and didn't work in his favor.
And these F4 cars are traditionally very good at eating some of those curves, but there's really 2 curves on this track that these drivers want to avoid. One of them is that turn 3 curb, and the other one right after that in turn 4. So those 2 right-handers that complete the second sector of the track, you do not want to touch those curbs at all, because it's going to send your car for a spin. And that's what we saw out of the FIU machine, and the stewards have noted that incident and have given Munoz a pit start penalty for impeding the flying lap of another driver that was Carmen Caruso's lap. So the 9 will be starting at the rear of the field, and I'm looking at some other reports that we're getting. Ted Burns has impeded the flying lap of another driver and will be starting at the back. So that P3 right now, provisional that he's sitting, just got washed away. So unfortunate to see that there. And also Anthony Pacheco, one of those new rookie FIU drivers that we talked about, has also received a pit start. So 3 good drivers getting sent to the back of the field for mistakes in qualifying.
Yeah, and it's tricky. You know, these cars like to be a little bit close together with the toe. They're really responsive to the draft there, as we see actually Minnesota courteously moving out of the way for Texas at Arlington. That's Nick Daly in that bright blue and orange F4 car there. But Zach, as the clock ticks down, that timing tower, can I see ball atop the tower right now? Your pole sitter by 18 thousandths of a second. Not a big margin by any stretch over the blue car on your screen. That's Nick Daly. You had mentioned Ted Burns in Wisconsin will be starting from the pits, which means Carmen Caruso and St. John's University will be looking at a P3 start right now. But still a little bit of time. Everybody getting to and depending on when I'll close qualifying.
Nicholas Daly completing another flying lap attempt right here. Got a little loose through the center right there in turn 11. Going to come down the front straightaway. Hopefully that didn't compromise his lap very much. Only 18 thousandths separate him from the pole right now. We're going to see if he improved on that. He did not. So I don't believe he will have time for one more go. And I'm going to see if we have any drivers making their way around the track that might have a chance. So it looks like with 15 seconds left here, our Muhammad Alif and Ball State University will be sitting on the pole here. Nicholas Daly taking P2, Carmen Caruso being promoted up to P3 with the pit start penalty given to Ted Burns right there. And I believe that will do it for our qualifying here at the West Coast Grand Prix.
That is Ball State, the pole sitter for this event. And a little quick run through the full lineup. That's Ball State with the pole time of 1 minute, 21 seconds, and 5:26 after that. Starting second place, Texas at Arlington's Nick Daly. University of Wisconsin, Ted Burns, we know he starts from the pits in this one. Carmen Caruso will take over that position, St. John's University. Chris Preston from Fanshawe College will be in fourth place, and Max Bui from the University of Southern California going to be rolling off behind him. Cale Davidson, again, for Ball State. We talked about a great performance in round 1 2 weeks ago from Cale and Ball State in that 7th position. 8th position, Cohen Evans from IUPUI. Panther Esports has the 9th position with Luis Diaz and the University of Minnesota, Lucas Santos there in 10th position. Carl Lemkool and St. Louis University there in 11th place, and James Madison University. Really good run from them last week. That is P12 for those drivers. P13, going to be John Dinkel from Rose-Hulman, followed by Soren Burkholder from Valparaiso University. St. Clair College, Athena Leclerc will roll off 15th, and then Alex Diamond from Drexel University in 16th position. Panther Esports again at Florida International, Esteban Munoz, after a little bit of excitement in qualifying, lands himself 17th position, followed by Austin DeLong, the 22 machine from Penn College of Technology. Drexel University in P19 with Jason Wallet and Nick Patinella from Robert Morris University round out the top 20. Robert Morris again, Tyler Klingon-Smith 21, Alexander Piccini in 22nd, Santa Maria Federal, Beloit in 23rd, and the College of San Mateo and Michael Tognati 24th. FIU and FIU, Diego Nunez and Anthony Pacheco round out as we get ready. The lights are on. These drivers getting prepared for the event. Zach, this is the best part. We love it. You can see the vacancy there on track. The drivers away, letting those clutches slip. The green flag waves, and down into turn one, those drivers go. You can see just dropping in behind. He's going to try and get it. Is the outside the place to be? It looks like he'll fall in line. It just closes the door a little bit early as this driver tries to go down into turn one. And the top 6 or so are straight in line, but that's not the case at the back of
all the drivers running a little wide right there out of turn 3. Like Josh says, single file, but maybe a little bit of an advance right here from Cale Davidson and that Ball State number 17 machine on front. Still too wide back here. That's Matt Stawecki, Carl Limcool going at it with each other. James Madison versus St. Louis University here for that position. Looks like that battle has been resolved. Luis Diaz, one of those FIU drivers, up the hill for the first time going to the corkscrew. Doesn't look like there's going to be much of a challenge. Actually, yes, there is that 45 of Soren Burkholder is going to attempt to go around the outside. Can't quite complete the switcheroo. Yes, he will stay to the inside of Luis Diaz, but FIU will prevail in that battle, and it looks like we got some tire smoke up ahead, maybe some contact from the leaders right there, but great battle right there. Looks to be resolved for the time being. Burkholder completed a great pass on Carl Limcool on Diaz right there, and now Carl Limcool going to tuck in behind that Burkholder machine. You can see the 45, 3 wide right here across the stripe. That time, maybe some contact, and there, car up and over Burkholder. I believe that was Limcool that jumped completely over the 45, and you can see suspension damage right there, and that is going to retire the 45 from Valparaiso University out of the race. We're going to get a replay and look at that, but man, 3 wide right there across the line for a little bit. And Cale Davidson did come out on top of that interaction. Man, what happened right there?
That was a really unique scenario, but I can't say I'm surprised right now, Zach. Some other excitement going on around different places. See that scoring tower. Everything is orange. Everybody's fighting for position right now. And this track has so many unique corners that an advantage gained is quickly given back. As the nature of this. And so down into the corner, you can see Minnesota trying to work on IUPUI. Down into the final sector, you can pass into the second to last corner. You can even pass into the final corner, but it would be a lunge from that distance right now. I'll tell you who loves this is Ball State up ahead in that red and white car. He just wants to get out of town. You can see another battle taking place behind this one, but down to the line, it looks like it'll be another lap in this battle for IUPUI.
2 laps in the books here at Sprint Race 1 at our West Coast Grand Prix. Really wide right there for Cohen Evans. That was Lucas Santos. Now a great battle right here. John Dinkel from Rose-Hulman and Matt Stawecki from James Madison. Dinkel going to go all the way to the inside of Stawecki and take that position away from him. That was the battle for the 8th position, and now has his sights set on FIU up in front of him in that 7th position. About a half a second off, you can see that tower on the left, so we're going to watch that number come down ever so slightly, chipping away hundredths. Now tenths away at that lead right now, but focusing on that lead at the top, still not much change. Looking back here, Carmen Caruso, St. John's, going to try to go underneath Michael Tognati, and a spin up in front. Is that a St. Clair College? Yes, that is Athena Leclerc. Leclerc has spun out of turn 5 And it looks like she will be able to get that car routed back around. And now here comes Carmen Caruso down the inside, going to try and make a move on Diamond. Can he quite get it to stick? No, Diamond is going to, excuse me, yes. Diamond does not defend that position. Caruso gets around, and Diamond almost fell into the clutches of Michael Tognati. And now Nick Patinella, Robert Madison University, turned around out of the bottom of the corkscrew. He's going to get the car refired and pulled back in line right here. And looking back at this battle, this is for the 7th position. Dinkel Diaz Stowecki. Try saying that 5 times fast here into the Andretti hairpin. Diaz not going to mount much of an attack that time by. Does lock up the tires just a little bit coming into the corner. And at this point, I think you don't want to be too aggressive. You're less than 5 minutes into this race, and 4 out of 14 laps, so still a lot of racing to go. And at this point, I think you got to shake your nerves out. You got through the race start. You've got through all the major incidents. Your car's all heated up. Your tires are heated up. You're good to go. And now you got to turn. You got to set your sights and focus on the driver in front of you with these. And with these F4 cars that are so momentum based, you've got to focus on keeping your momentum as fast as possible. Is a little mistake right there out of Diaz through the turn 6 kink up the Rahal straight. Is that Stowecki trying to go around the outside? He'll take the inside for the second part of the chicane. Gets way loose through the center of the corner right there. Will lose out on that incredible opportunity that he had. James Madison right there falling another position behind Max Bowie from the University of Southern California. Going to capitalize on that mistake and will now set his sights on the FIU machine. I believe that is Chris Preston we saw in the dirt a couple seconds ago from Fanshawe College. Now Max Bowie was able to get around the number 7 machine. Will take that 6th place spot. Matt Stowecki able to get around the FIU machine as well. Both of them will now turn their sights on each other, but also to Lucas Santos, who is 6 seconds ahead. So both of those drivers have some work to do if they're going to catch the driver up ahead of them. Looking back at Luis Diaz, nice 5-car train right here. Looking for this battle for the 8th position, led by Preston, then Diaz, Diamond, Caruso, and Ted Burns recovering from that pit start. He started 26th in that pack that got the EOL to start race 1. Alexander Diamond, the Drexel car, goes off track in turn 4 right there, excuse me. But Ted Burns on a great march up to the front right now. Still a lot of time for him to work his way back up onto the podium.
Yeah, Wisconsin is moving forward at a good pace. I think Drexel and Alex Diamond were a little bit spooked right there. You do really have on the outside line as he was. Probably a little bit early for the marbles to be accumulating, so it's going to be hard to blame those at the moment. But being off the racing line surely didn't help the Drexel case right there. But you can see right there that St. John's University's Carmen Caruso is trying to get the job done. He's going to feel it's an opportunity. It does for now. He's going to close that door and make the. And we talked about Wisconsin. He's going to see if he can sneak through as well. So that's St. John's University and Wisconsin ahead. You can see Will Wisconsin pull out here. Looks like he's going to try and go a little bit later on the side. Not the end of the world to be on the outside in that part of the track, but looks like St. John's University going to come out on top of that one. St. John's University coming off a stellar run in a really fast field from Alton Park in round 1 of this series, and so expecting really big things here, but maybe not so much defense as these cars are wing and wing down into this corner, and it looks like, yeah, Caruso just going to let that one go. We talked about Wisconsin really has the pace at the moment, and maybe deciding that it's okay to tuck in. We do know, Zach, that there's a big benefit to having the toe around this track if you can make it work, so maybe that's a strategy as well.
Yeah, with the way these cars are set up, they punch a relatively large hole in the air for their size, and especially on that long Rahal straight, down the front straightaway as well into the Andretti hairpin. If you can get a really nice run, as we see Chris Preston, Fanshawe College, get a really, really nice run on Matt Stowecki out of James Madison, is going to take that 8th position, or excuse me, that 7th position away. But the toe is extremely important in these cars, especially on these long straightaways when you get into tight braking zones and overtaking points, like turn 2 and the corkscrew in turn 11. You can really use that to your advantage in these cars. Esteban Munoz has fallen down to 14th place. Athena Leclerc currently recovering from her spin about 3 laps ago in turn 5 for St. Clair College. Going to try and work her way back up to the field, I believe, is the lone St. Clair driver in the field tonight, which is something that we don't say very often in the CIL. Usually St. Clair has in the range of 2, 3, possibly even 4 drivers in the field. But it looks like she will be the standard bearer for St. Clair. Jason Wallet from Drexel University right behind her in 16th place. He's your Daytona 250 champ over in the College Cup Series side, and currently one of 2 drivers in the Cup Series to have top 10 finishes in all 3 races this season thus far. It looks like he's not having a very successful day out here at the West Coast Grand Prix, getting used to these F4 cars, but hopefully he'll be running back up through the field to catch up with his Drexel teammates kind of towards the front of the field. Here's Esteban Munoz, Alexandra Pacchini from Santa Maria down in Brazil, our only Brazilian driver in the field, and it looks like a lockup right there. Pacchini braked really early, maybe relative to Esteban Munoz, and Munoz drove right through him. So the stewards, I believe, are going to take a close look at that. But a little incident right there, contact between those 2 cars going into the chicane, and I think that's the action that we were expecting to see tonight out of that infamous turn in motorsports. But FIU and Santa Maria Federal involved in that incident right there. Like I said, the stewards are going to take a look at that and rule accordingly. But that was a textbook braking incident right there, in my opinion. Looks like 2 drivers underestimated each other's braking points, and then they made contact, and the Santa Maria Federal machine got the worst out of the 2 right there. Now Athena Leclerc going to try to do some work. Here for St. Clair College on the back of the number 9 machine from FIU. Going to go down the inside here into turn 5 where she spun earlier. Gets really loose again right there. Sorry for the commentator's curse, but she will lose out on that position she just gained and now falls into the clutches of Jason Wallet from Drexel University. Almost had the pass completed by the time they got up there to turn 6 in that kink. Then it looks like he will fall just a little bit too far behind to make an attempt to gain that position here into the corkscrew. A little bit of a lockup right there from FIU. Maybe a little breather right there. I think Munoz was going to let Leclerc by. And then Leclerc with the mistake right there, getting way too loose on the exit, caught the car twice. So very good driving there from the St. Clair driver to keep that car straight yet again.
Yeah, and there's a couple things that I noticed actually as we see some excitement off the final corner. I know that Esteban Munoz passed his FIU teammate there, but it looks like 76 is going to try and make a move. That's Drexel University to the outside of St. Clair. Can he be the late breaker in this instance? Looks like he's going to hang on the outside. Will he attempt to cross it over? Not quite. He'll fall back in line. Everybody spaced out for the time being. But yeah, that incident with Munoz into the corkscrew, I did see Pacchini move a little bit, as he came down into the braking zone. Both those cars really aiming for, and I did see a little bit of blinking, maybe internet connectivity from the Santa Maria driver. So that'll be something to pay attention to. But you can see right there, yeah, I think that Athena Leclerc and St. Clair College has her hands full of this fixed setup, picking up dust in a lot of parts of this track. And it is, Zach, we talked about it, it's difficult to see another lockup there, to get the grip from this track. It's hot right now, the track temp, and it's eating up the sun as we speak. And so it's only getting warmer. In fact, the sim time right now, these cars think it's all about 1:30 in the afternoon, right? So that temperature is only going to go up to 3 or 4 p.m. And that's what these drivers are going to have to contend with. You can see right there that St. John's University looks like giving way right now to the big white and purple machine. That's James Madison University and Matt Stewecki behind the wheel of that machine. So these drivers are going to try and dive down into that second sector, and this has been a corner for a lot of passing, Zach. And I think it's because you can have a run, you can get inside, and it's really hard to be successful on the outside position of that corner.
Yeah, there's 2 corners on this track that are relatively heavily banked for a road course. That turn 5 right there, but also turn 10, the right-hander that sets you up into the final corner. of the track, and they're very complex, very dynamic corners. I think there's multiple way to take those corners based off of where you are, where you want to enter, where you want to exit. But they're two of the trickiest corners on the track. Obviously, the trickiest corner is going to be the corkscrew, and its infamy. But right here, Matt Stawecki, James Madison University, going to play defense. And his a little spin right there is that Max Bowie from the University of Southern California that just went around there out turn 11. Yes, it is. The 965 machine, the Spartan machine, just went around. Is now Carmen Caruso going to make a huge lunge here to the inside of turn 2. St. John's goes around James Madison, but James Madison is able to complete the switchback, will pull alongside Caruso, and will not complete that move, and actually will lose a position right here as well to FIU. I believe that is Luis Diaz, just took away that 9th position from Stawecki. So a little mistake right there from Stawecki. Didn't go as defensive as he wanted to there. Didn't go as defensive as he wanted to, or didn't expect the move from Caruso into the hairpin. Was shuffled to the outside of turn 3 where there's not really a ton of grip, and lost out on 2 positions right there in that series of corners as they now head uphill towards the corkscrew.
Yeah, and it's so hard as you get out of line. And Diaz right there on your screen, formerly on your screen, a noted karting driver down there in Florida, and right, that was very karting-esque. Quick flowing sequence of corners, and trying to find the hole and muscle your way through just a little bit. That's going to be right in his playbook. So on your screen now is Lucas Santos trying to use every bit of that track for the University of Minnesota. A little bit out of shape there from Cohen Evans, maybe not hooked up like he wanted to, and putting the switcheroo on. Lucas Santos having a lot of fun, trying to get around that Jaguar machine right there. You can see he's going to fill up his mirrors, and now is when he's got that chance. If he hasn't used up too much momentum, he's got that chance to use the draft, to duck out of line. Will he do it here? Not quite, so maybe he's waiting for the corkscrew. But Zach, I'll take this time to point out that these cars, can be so much fun. We see so much variation on the brakes, and part of that is because these cars respond really well to having just a really far rearward brake bias, which is going to help rotate the car into the corner, which is actually how you saw St. John's University complete that pass a bit ago, as you saw the car rotate. And then to counteract that, these drivers will actually provide maybe 3 to 5% throttle, maybe 10% throttle as you go into the corner, and that's going to prevent the rear tires from locking up outright, which would be akin to pulling the handbrake, perhaps, on your manual transmission vehicle. Don't want that, but if the drivers can get a handle on these cars, they can rotate in really nicely, which is maybe one of my favorite things about this F4 car. So it's a unique opportunity. It's an awesome car to learn on, and as you can see, provides some really close competition for these drivers.
Yeah, we'll have to save the Kansai Drifto for Tsukuba next week as we head to Japan for our Japanese Grand Prix. So we'll maybe see a little more drifting next week out of these cars, but these things are so much fun to drive. They respond really well to braking, to throttle. You have to be really precise on the input, but you can also bully the car into doing exactly what you want it to do. And it's one of the most fun cars to drive on the surface. As now we see Nick Daly and Muhammad Alif. This is UT Arlington and Ball State duking it out for the win right now. These drivers will take the white flag in Sprint Race 1 this time by. So all the beans on the table right now for these two, taking relatively the same line here through turn 11. I think Alif is going to get a little bit better of an exit here down the front straightaway, but Daly's going to have that toe coming into the first hairpin right here. White flag is in the air here at Sprint Race 1 of our West Coast Grand Prix. Alif hard on the brakes. A little bit of a lockup from a lap car up in front of him. Doesn't look like it's going to impact either of these drivers very much. Nicholas Daly losing out on about a half a tenth right there, braking, but is going to gain that back and some as he gets a really good exit out of the hairpin here through these two right-hand corners. Fast right-handers. Daly's going to try to chase down the Ball State machine in the lead. He's got him in his sights, and he's been about a half a second off this entire race. I've been keeping an eye on that interval this entire race, and that interval has not moved a lot. I'm going to navigate some lap traffic here. I'm going to thank that driver for letting both of them by. I believe that was a Drexel driver getting put a lap down right there. But It was Alexander Diamond. But both of these cars through the corkscrew for the last time. Alif now puts another 0.2 of a second on that lead, so he will pad the lead, and it doesn't look like Daly's going to have much for him here going into turn 10, down into turn 11 for the last time. I think it's too much for Daly to make a move. Yes, it is, and Alif will keep it clean down the front straightaway. And welcome back to Formula C, our Muhammad Alif and Ball State University. We missed you last week. He will win sprint race number 1. UT Arlington will sit second on the podium. And looking at the battle for third place, doesn't look like there's much of a battle, but Cale Davidson will secure third place for
I think for Ball State University as well.
Ball State University, yeah. So 2 Ball State cars there on the podium for sprint race 1 here. Luis Diaz and Matt Stowecki having to go at it right, Max Bowie having to go at it right here. For that last position, Bowie didn't get the launch he wanted off the corner right there, and will lose out on that position. And I think a little displeasure right there as he throws the car into the gravel, but that's fine because all these drivers will get a brand new car for sprint race number 2. Looking on towards the back of the field, Athena Leclerc will bring it home. P13, Esteban Munoz, 14th across the stripe right there. And what a race we just had. Plenty of, not a lot of action up towards the front, but plenty of thrills, spills, and action all throughout the field from third place on back that time, Josh.
Yeah, there was a lot of action, and maybe a good time to drop in that our stewards monitor has been really exciting to watch as well. So we'll run through grid upcoming, but these will be unofficial, and there will be some opportunities for drivers to start from the pits. And I wondered who was going to get that invert, Zach. But it looks like it was Tyler Klingensmith. So Tyler Klingensmith and Robert Morris University will be your pole coming up. So
it's actually, I hate to interrupt, but it's the top 10 that get inverted here in Formula C. So Maximilian Bowie will get the reverse grid pole right there, moving into sprint race 1 or sprint race 2, excuse me.
Indeed, and so your running order right now in that race: Muhammad Ali from Ball State University, Texas at Arlington, and Nick Daly, Cale Davidson again from Ball State, Cohen Evans, the Jaguar from IUPUI, and Ted Burns from Wisconsin and Madison. Lucas Santos from the University of Minnesota, and then Fanshawe College's Chris Preston in P7. St. John's University, Carmen Caruso in 8th position, and James Madison University in that 9th position. We saw him mixing it up a lot on track. You can see your top 10 finisher and pole sitter, University of Southern California's Max Bowie, who, I think, Zach, maybe he was not so stressed about his 10th place finish in the last race.
That is a strategy that a lot of drivers, especially at the back of the top 10 and in the top 11th, 12th, 13th, instead of trying to go for the win and maybe scrounge as many points as they can, they're going to try and finish in that 8th, 9th, 10th position, that little stint right there because of that reverse grid. If you finish 10th, you're on pole for sprint race 2. If you finish 9th, you're going to start outside pole and vice versa. So if you're Luis Diaz, unfortunately, you missed out on that fun. But the winner, the real winner right there out of the bottom half of the top 10 is Max Bowie for USC. He will secure the pole position. But we're gonna talk to our big winner, the man of the hour from sprint race number 1. Welcome back to Formula C, our Muhammad Alif of Ball State. You got a copy?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, man. Say, the biggest thing that we've been talking about all throughout sprint race 1 is these track conditions. It's really hot, it's really sunny, it's really slick. Tell us a little bit about what it's like out there on track.
Oh, very tricky. Very, very, very tricky. With the wind as well, 19 kph with the wind, which is 12 miles an hour with the wind. It was quite crazy, to be honest. Especially there was like a big tailwind down into turn 1, which made the braking zone just a lot harder. So it's going to be very, very interesting for race 2.
Yeah, congratulations on the performance in the first race. Is do you feel that we know the second race generally a lot more and maybe some more incidents? Do you think that traffic will be an issue for the second race coming up?
I mean, it was an issue for the first race. I think the guys at the back probably not as experienced, I guess, but yeah, it'll be a big factor, I'd say, and also just trying to find spots to overtake is gonna be pretty tricky with how hot the track and how tricky the conditions are.
Yeah, for sure. I think that matched our observations up here as well. Well, congratulations on race one. Seeing you in race two. Good luck.
Thank you.
And yeah, that was race one winner, our Muhammad Ali representing Ball State University, and gonna get ready, get set for this race coming up. About 45 seconds till we go and grid again, Zach. So I think we know that it's pretty typical that we have a lot more elbows out. We have a lot more contact in the second heats as all the drivers have a little bit of confidence and have a little bit more awareness of the environment. And everybody likes to see that checkered flag at the end first. So, what are you expecting to come of that after during this race and to the end?
Well, I think now that these drivers have 14 laps under their belt, they're used to the track conditions out there. And you heard Alif say that even for him, it was really, really tricky out there, not only navigating the track conditions with how hot it is, but also navigating some of the lap traffic that he was having to navigate around. So these drivers have experience out there, and I think now in this sprint race number two, this is for all the marbles. Uh, as I believe our warm up session has just ended. So we're going to grid here in a couple of seconds, but we're going to take a quick look through the starting grid here for sprint race number two. Max Bowie from USC will start on pole, the reverse grid pole for sprint race number two. To his outside, Matt Stowecki, James Madison University. Carmen right on his bumper, but not as close as Nick Daly is to his bumper. UT Arlington really here on that back bumper of the Ball State machine right there. Doesn't look like going to be much of an attack from any of these drivers going into turn 11 for the second time right here as we're about to begin lap 3 of sprint race number 2 here at the West Coast Grand Prix.
Yeah, and look at Ball State working on the University of Minnesota. This is one little run on the outside. Who can break late? The inside position is there, but it's going to be about who has the end of the corner. Zach, you favorable position going to be to Ball State right there and squarely Ball State. Now Ball State getting out of town here before Texas at Arlington can get on the racing line. They do so now, but right there and then back you saw behind Luis Diaz and Cohen Evans going at it. Still in the back of your screen as we go down into the speed turn. Who will make it? Athena Leclerc for St. Clair College late on the brakes. Can she get it done on the inside? This is be not the place to be side by side. She will back in, and looks like IUPUI going to take this one P11 for now, but yep, that's FIU in P10, and then James Madison University in 9th position.
Yeah, that turn 6 back there is about the only corner on this track that you absolutely cannot go side by side. Everywhere else on this track is fair game as we're still looking at Max Bowie, USC, still our race leader right now, but followed closely by Preston, Caruso, Burns, and Davidson. Ted Burns has worked his way up to 4th from that 6th position for University of Wisconsin. But Max Bowie is still all top. Excuse me. All 5 of those cars single file right now, and it looks like Cale Davidson has fallen off a little bit from that lead pack. Maybe some dirt right there underneath the wheels of that 27 machine for Chris Preston, the Fanshawe College. Chris Preston is another driver that we want to highlight. He had an incredible season last time in Formula C. I believe he was our 3rd place finisher on the podium when the season was said and done. So good to see him making his return to Formula C as well. I know he missed the first race of our British Grand Prix, but he has come back for the West Coast Grand Prix. Currently running 2nd, only about a half a second off of the lead right now, but being followed extremely closely by Caruso and Burns. And it looks like Davidson has re-entered the mix right here as they come into the corkscrew. Some different lines right there on exit. I think some drivers trying to get that clean air to set up. Turn 9 now down into turn 10. That high-banked right-hand corner to set up into turn 11. And off track a little bit right there goes Caruso for St. John's. So a little mistake, and I believe Ted Burns, what a move to the inside right there into turn 11 to capitalize on that mistake. That was a great move from the University of Madison, Wisconsin driver right there.
Yeah, you have to be ready at this point in time to take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There was one. Ted Burns found it. You can see a little bit defensive. He'll get this line all to himself as he goes to finish the first sector here. Yeah, awesome move from Wisconsin. You can see Ball State here trying to make themselves known here as they get around St. John's University or work on St. John's University. Yeah, this is Ted Burns now going down, defending into turn 1. And what an awesome move right there. I think this is the move we were looking at. Boom, to the inside, down, straight for the apex, and on the brakes the whole time. Zach, I don't know how we can communicate to viewers to appreciate that move. Those cars don't always love to move around. They can be forgiving on the brake, but a very tricky move. And I think that shows that the feel that the driver for Wisconsin has in that machine. And awesome to see. But there is an excitement at the front. Chris Preston and Fanshawe College, they have arrived on the scene. Well, they have arrived and they've taken a detour and back around. But I'll tell you what, the University of Southern California, Zach, has to, for the next 9 to 10 laps or so, hold off Chris Preston. That's not going to be an easy feat. That's going to be one to watch for this race. You can see the top 5 on the scoring tower is all yellow and orange. In fact, top 5 looks like it's up for grabs right now with Cale Davidson, Muhammad Alif, as Ball State tries to work out its drivers. And then you can see Panther Esports being carried by Luis Diaz right now. Note that FIU driver Esteban Munoz has disc from this race along with St. Louis University and Carl Lemkool. So For the Florida International University fans, you guys are at that 28 machine. That's Luis Diaz in the 12th position. Ball State trying to work around, I think, just a little switcheroo of the cars right here and down into the corner. That's going to be an off is one there. That was
Caruso.
University taking a small detour. He'll give up another position to the University of Texas at Arlington. And so down into the corner, well, he will try and fight back, but it's a tough spot to be in right there. He's going to be on the outside. It's going to be really hard to maintain that momentum. He's going to try best he can, but yeah, it looks like Texas at Arlington going to win that one. Again, these cars so important that you carry the momentum.
Looking now at this battle. Oh, off. Scary off right there for a driver. We're going to check and see who that was, as Cale Davidson and Alif almost had a running in right there. That was Anthony Pacheco from FIU, currently running 23rd, had a little bit of an off right there out of turn 11, and Alif and Davidson almost ran into them, but these are two teammates right here going at it. These two Ball State cars going to try and work together to get Alif and Davidson up to the front right now. Alif is currently 3 seconds off of the podium right now. That last position belongs to Ted Burns from Madison, Wisconsin. So we're going to see how quickly that interval can come down, and I'm already seeing it drop by a couple tenths. Alif the quicker of those two cars right now, and I think Davidson is going to use that tow that Alif is generating to his advantage as well. So the faster Alif goes, the more tow Davidson will get, but he's got to make sure that he doesn't get too far out in front of his teammate, as he's now pulled out to about a 6/10 of a second lead and about a half a lap right there. Looking back towards this battle for the lead, that interval has not grown or shrank at all since the last time we checked. Bowie, USC over Chris Preston from Fanshawe College. Preston keeps it clean that time through turn 10. Not going to mount much of an attack this time here into turn 11, the final corner on the track. This will complete lap 7. We are halfway through this second sprint race, and don't look now. Here comes Ted Burns from Madison, Wisconsin. Going to try and hope that these guys get alongside. It looks like Preston will mount an attack here to the outside of the hairpin, late on the brakes. Bowie goes defensive and to the inside and spins. He spins out of the lead. Preston will go by, and so will Burns, Alif, maybe Davidson. I don't see Nick Daly going by as well. Actually, he's side by side with Cale Davidson. Will retain the fourth position right there, but a critical mistake out of the USC driver. Spins out of the lead, defending against Fanshawe College's Chris Preston that time, and it cost him dearly.
Yeah, what a tough move down into turn 1. We talked about getting as much rear brake and rotation as you can. And you can see Max Bowie just a little bit too much. Almost a lazy spin, but just enough to be out of the lead. So, yeah, Chris Preston off to the races. I was going to say, can the University of Wisconsin go 2 in a row here after Alton Park and there? But it's going to be really tricky as I watch that interval grow. Fanshawe College and Chris Preston in charge squarely right now, at least for the time being. But yeah, your 5th position right now, held by Cale Davidson, is hotly contested. And in fact, in a big spin, that's Ball State. I want to say, that's St. John's University.
St. John's.
Another red and white machine. Caruso going to have to get that car turned around. We'll lose out to IUPUI as well as the University of Minnesota. And so we expected, Zach, a lot more excitement in this race, if you could imagine that, after the first race. Here you can see Carmen Caruso. This is the second to last corner, and you want to carry so much speed, get the car rotated early into this corner, and you can see that it is tricky right there, as just on the gas a little bit early was the St. John's University machine. This is Max Bowie down into turn 1. We saw this. You can see he tries to get that car rotated, keep right there. About just after the first apex, you could see that it was going to be trouble. But yeah, no shortage of drama here in this event and in the final heat. But I'll tell you what, right now, that interval dropping down just a bit. Ted Burns to Chris Preston. We can watch that on the tower, but right now we are on board with Cale Davidson and Ball State University. Zach trying to move around. I think he's got the pace for Max Bowie up ahead, but he will really have to deal with a mirror full of that Texas at Arlington car and Nicholas Daly.
Yeah, these drivers out here have their hands absolutely full of these cars, these relatively light, relatively simple F4 cars, no DRS, no KERS, no MGU, like the F1 cars, but still plenty of action out here on the track, and plenty for these drivers to have their hands full with, not only of the track, but with each other. And we've seen some great racing so far. Still, this fourth position yet to be decided is a little off right there for Cale Davidson from Ball State. Another off right there, so maybe a little overheating of the tires right there for that Ball State machine, is now UT Arlington's Nick Daly breathing down the back of his neck right there through turn 5, going to keep it clean. And I think Davidson realizes that I just need to let this guy go. So Daly will assume that fifth position, can set his sights on Bowie up ahead, who has pulled out to about a half a second lead. And Josh, you mentioned keeping your eye on the scoring tower on the left-hand side. That lead came down. That lead was halved in the last lap. It was 1.3 seconds. Now it's about 6/10 and change for Chris Preston over Ted Burns right now. So Ted Burns really making some work of that race car right now to try and assume the lead as we get into the closing laps right here. Working on lap 10. It will be lap 11 of 14 coming to the stripe this time. Looking at Cohen Evans right now, the IUPUI Panther machine currently running ninth, trying to stay in the top 10. You can see Athena Leclerc right behind him from St. Clair University. Up in front of him, Carmen Caruso, who had a bit of an incident earlier off of turn 11. And then Lucas Santos from...
I think that's the University of
Twin
Minnesota
Cities. That's
right
it.
there, diving down into turn 1. And yeah, these drivers now, St. John's University, going to try to make that position. And Zach, you're right. Lap 10, that gap was just under a second. Now it's about half a second. Actually, it was down in the 0.3. Has Ted or Chris, are they trying to negotiate stuff right now? Nick Daly hot on the trail of Southern California, and Max Bouy right there. You see in that black, gold, and white machine down in the corner. This is tricky in the corkscrew. Don't know that Nick will want to do something here, but he can surely set himself up for a nice pass in the final sector. Leaders now dropping that interval, as I say it, down under and dancing around that half-second interval, but big battle right here. And I'll tell you who loves this right behind is Ball State. And yeah, Max has to go defensive into this corner. Will it be an opportunity? A good run out of the corner, down to the bottom, want to stay out of that draft. Going to declare that he wants the inside line into turn 1. Texas going to have to go around the outside, wing to wing, down into turn 1. Who can be later on the brakes? Wow, Nick Daly really late on the brakes, but Max Bouy coming back inside. Yeah, I think that Nick had to gather it up. Really hard to keep it, but keeps momentum on the inside. And could this be a pass? That would be a pass completed. And under fire again is Southern California. As you can see, Ball State trying to move right there, but now Max will have a little advantage as big wiggle for St. John's in front of Minnesota, and Max fights back on the inside. All these battles need about 3 months to cover this action, Zach.
Yes, so much going on track right now, and even in just the top 10, we've got all these battles going on. As you see, the USC driver defending Ball State right there, Bouy over Davidson. Davidson really trying to figure out where Bouy is to run with him in the tow, but also find out where he's not to try and set up a pass right here. We saw the defensive lines going into turn 1 that time by, and I believe as the leaders cross the stripe, this will start our penultimate lap here in the West Coast Grand Prix. You can see Nick Daly has pretty much all but checked out from this battle, and leaving these two drivers, Bouy and Davidson, to fight for it. 2 laps to go here at Laguna Seca. Davidson's going to get a really nice tow from Bouy down the front straightaway right there, but look at Muhammad Alif. He has caught up to the leaders. That interval is about a half a second between P1, P2, P3. Preston from Fanshawe, Ted Burns from Madison, Wisconsin, and Muhammad Alif from Ball State duking it out for these podium positions right now. And it's about a 5-second gap back to UT Arlington and Nick Daly. So still a lot to settle here with 2 laps to go, or just under 2 laps to go, actually, as they head up the hill for the penultimate time. Chris Preston, Fanshawe College, leading the way. You can see Ted Burns right there down through the kink. Doesn't look like he's going to get much of a run here coming up the hill, but Alif will get a run on Ted Burns. Will he make the lunge? No, he won't. Actually, Alif a little bit earlier on the brakes right there, going to take a more conservative line and let Burns come to him. That's a very, very smart move, and that shows you the skill of all these drivers up here at the front, especially Alif. But now Burns gets a really nice run, sends that car down to the curb and the inside of 10. You could see just how sideways that was, practically drifting the car right there. And all three of these drivers nose to tail through turn 11 that time by, and still nose to tail as Preston's going to give all of them a nice tow down the front straightaway as the white flag flies. This is the last lap in our West Coast Grand Prix. Ted Burns to the outside, going to try and make a move here. Retain the inside, is going to keep that line, and he's going to get underneath Preston right here. Preston thought that Burns was going to go to the inside and defend to the outside, but it almost loses out on the lead right there. Gets the better run out of the hairpin through turns 3 and 4 right here. And we're going to see how this battle stacks out. Last lap here. Still 1, 2, 3. Preston, Burns, Alif. Everything on the line for these three drivers. If they keep things straight, all of them will be on the podium. But finishing one step higher is always really, really nice. As you look on lap traffic behind them, still 1, 2, 3 for these drivers. Nose to tail through the turn 6 kink. And up the Rahal straight for the last time into the corkscrew. Alif has a run, and so does Burns. Burns going to try and look to the inside right here. Maybe no, does not mount an attack through the corkscrew that time. Going to let this battle come to him, but gets a great run out of the corkscrew. Going to get that car rolling much, much quicker than Preston. Down through turn 9 for the last time here into turn 10. We're going to see who can send it harder. This is the final corner of the race. Will Burns or Alif do anything? Burns looks to the inside. Going to try to get earlier on the brakes. Has position and knocks Preston out of the way. Preston is off, and Burns is going to drive away and win this sprint race. He will win sprint race number 2 at the West Coast Grand Prix. Alif will inherit that second podium position, and that is going to give Nick Daly of UT Arlington the third spot as well. And where did Chris Preston finish? It looks like he's out. He is not able to get the car rolling. He will not finish this race. What an unbelievable finish.
Unbelievable. Chris Preston, a disconnect right now. You can see the remainder of battles come on your screen. We will surely have to wait and see what the stewards have to say about that. Shades of Bathurst. Did the car move under braking? Was the car to have position? A lot of questions, Zach, that I really am thrilled I don't have to answer. And in fact, the monitor has just popped up. Final corner, no penalties. There will be no penalties. It was deemed a racing incident as drivers came to the conclusion. And so as you can see on your screen, this is the pass and the contact for the win. And Zach, I can say officially that will be 2 in a row for the University of Wisconsin. And I'm still trying to understand this move right here. Were they axle to axle, and what was on? Yeah, I think simply left the door open. And you had to know Ted would make the corner there. And I think I can't see, but I think the front wing was about up to the mid plane of that Fanshawe University car. So I don't know. Again, glad the call is not my decision this evening, and I think I can't argue that. What a move late on the brake. You can see the rear of the car, that Wisconsin car, wiggle just as he comes down.
This is what I wanted to see.
As we go on board, what does it look like down into the corner? It was a lunge, and you'll be interested to see, Zach, where does that... Yeah, not much room there, but if you're a driver, you want... Yeah, not quite sure we got to the mid plane there, but nonetheless, it was a move. And that will be, again, the second in a row for the University of Wisconsin. And Zach, I think I could watch this most of my evening.
And the driver with the best seat in the house right there was Muhammad Alif. A bit of an overly ambitious send from Ted Burns into that last corner, but also some overly defensive driving from the 27 right there. Lucky he didn't go over. Just got up on 2 wheels right there and sent into the grass, but Alif with a great view of that incident right now, and you've got it right there, and you've got to be thinking what went through his mind at that point of these two just hit, this race is mine. And then he sees Ted Burns go and take the checker flag, but still a great day. If you're Muhammad Alif, 2 podium finishes, a great day. If you're Ted Burns with a race win, and a great day if you're Nick Daly. with those podium finishes as well. Maybe not so much if you're a Fanshawe fan or Chris Preston. Uh, but as we get into last bit of things, we have called our top three drivers up to the booth for the interviews. And in fact, let's go ahead and talk to our third place driver, Nick Daly out of University of Texas, Arlington. You got a copy?
Yeah.
Well, Nick, congratulations on a great drive and a third place finish here. And really just great driving all day. We talked to Alif after sprint race one, and we talked about the track conditions. So I want to get your point of view out there. What was the track like out there? Did you find it excessively hard to manage, or did it kind of come to you as the race went on?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess kind of as I got some more laps in, got a little bit more comfortable. I know that the beginning of race two here, it seemed like I just completely forgot how to drive the track because I was just pushing it way too hard. I don't know if the track temp got a little bit hotter, but yeah, I was just sliding the front tires just way too hard and losing a lot of time. But yeah, towards the end of the race, I was able to pick up some pace and then had a nice little battle with Max there. So I'm glad I could get around him and get another alumni position. So yeah, overall, kind of a lucky podium, but I'll take it.
Yeah, congrats on the podium, Nick, and Texas at Austin. Track temp up a little bit from 109 degrees Fahrenheit from start to finish for us this evening. But yeah, walking through that, yeah, it was so hard. We saw a lot of traffic. We expected it at this track tonight, but a lot of traffic in both races tonight. How did you manage that and keep pace throughout the evening?
Yeah, race one was definitely a little bit easier to manage, just because I was following a leaf and he's in the student category, so I didn't really have to push hard to try and fight with him, and I had a pretty good gap behind me. So yeah, coming up on traffic, I was happy to give up some time to get around there safely and make it to the checkered flag. Yeah, race two is definitely more challenging, starting a few places behind and picking your way through traffic, being a little bit patient, trying not to take too many risks, and then, yeah, bringing it home.
Well, congratulations again. Before we turn you loose, is there anybody you want to shout at? Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, of course, shout out to University of Texas at Arlington and our UTA Racing Formula student team. And thank you guys for putting on a great league and a great broadcast. Thanks.
Yeah, congratulations on a great race, man, and welcome back to the podium. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
And that was your P3 finisher, Texas at Arlington, Nick Daly. Awesome run, and yeah, for all the excitement tonight, Zach, I think that Nick, had one of the lower incident counts. He had patience, and I think that shows just the wisdom that he has. But now on to our second place finisher from Ball State University, Muhammad Alif. Welcome back, and tell us a little bit about that. You had quite the vantage point for that last corner move.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel very bad for Chris. I think he drove a pretty good race. Into like get flipped like that was not nice, but the stewards did deem it a racing incident, and I'm not gonna argue that. Extra position for me, so yeah, yeah, but yeah, it was a tricky race again. Couldn't really push the car as I'm used to because of yeah just how tricky the conditions were. So I had to just yeah just work my way through the field and then almost got the win right at the end. But yeah, it's fine. I'll take first and second.
Well, Leaf, you mentioned the tricky conditions out there again, and I feel like I keep talking about it just because it's such an integral part of racing here in Formula C. Do you feel like the track changed at all in Sprint Race 2, or were you able to use the knowledge that you gained from Sprint Race 1 pretty well to navigate your way cleanly through the field, starting 10th and finishing here in second place?
Yeah, I think mostly it was just like the respect with the other drivers. They weren't like doing anything above the line, so that was nice to see. Yeah, I mean, I did use the experience that I got in race one. The track temperature was creeping up from the start, so it started off like 35. degrees Celsius. I'm not sure how much that is in Fahrenheit, but till like 43. So it was just climbing constantly, and yeah, I was just keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, I think we had the same measurement for our temperature as well. Before we send you on your way, anyone you would like to thank and shout out?
Oh yeah, definitely. Everyone at Ball State, my teammate Kale also for putting in the hours. Dan Marino, who's our esports director, for just giving us this amazing platform, amazing and amazing opportunity to put the Ball State cars up front. My family from Singapore watching, and yeah, just I think everyone was watching really. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. Very exciting to see you guys compete. A lot of excitement, especially in the last two laps at the front. But congratulations again to you and to Ball State on the P2 tonight, and all the best this week.
Thank you very much.
That was Zach. That was our Muhammad Ali from Ball State, and yeah, I knew he was probably going to make the move there, but he chose kind of to see how it in opportunistic. You heard him another free position. So a little tactical. No comment on the steward's call.
Yeah, I believe we call those freebies in iRacing when a driver in front of you is involved in an incident like that, you gain that position. So no complaints there from a Leaf, but we'll see how some other sides of the story develop there on that last lap incident. But speaking of, let's talk to our Sprint Race 2 winner, Mr. 3 for 4 this season in wins in sprint races. He's done so in a dominant fashion. Ted Burns, University of Madison, Wisconsin. You got a copy?
Yep, I got you. You guys hear me?
Yeah, man, we got you. Hey, congratulations on another sprint race win. It seems like this is your season. You are an absolute rocket and a half out there on track. You're able to navigate your way around drivers. You're able to navigate these tricky track conditions that we've been hearing about all day, and sometimes maybe with a little bump here and there. But we saw that last corner incident with Chris Preston, and we wanted to know what's your side of that incident there? What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, I hate having any sort of contact. I would have liked to have gotten past him cleanly there. I mean, I knew I was a bit quicker on the brakes there than him. Like every single lap, I would gain maybe a tenth or so into that corner. So I figured he'd be expecting something, especially being last corner, last lap. And I finally got a pretty decent setup and went into there, and he drove in a little bit deeper than usual and went really wide. So I was like, okay, well the inside's open, doors open. So I went down there, made sure I could park it on the apex, and it looks like he just kind of tried taking a bit of a late apex there and turned in, and we had some contact. So didn't want to surprise him, but I figured he knew that something was coming there with my pace. So hate to end it with the contact and pushing him off. Would have like a clean drag race to the line, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, Ted, congratulations to you in Wisconsin on the second P1 of the season. I'm going to echo Zach's comments that you have the secret sauce at the moment. What is it about the F4 car or these tracks that play into your driving style and your speed?
I mean, especially my style, I always try and be as smooth as possible, and I think just being smooth in this car and really, getting the maximum grip out of it, I think really uh, is really the best way to be quick in the car. You can be a little precise. You don't have to be super precise driving it. You have a little bit of wiggle room, so you can kind of wheel the car if you make a little bit of a mistake. So it definitely benefits having some fast hands, but I think just keeping it smooth and making sure the tires stay gripped up the entire way through the corner, take advantage of the downforce is kind of what suits it, and then just being patient, especially working through traffic in these race twos or even in the race one when I have to start from the pit lane.
And I do want to go back one last question to that sprint race one. You got the pit lane start penalty during qualifying, and you were able to work your way up through the field and secure a really nice finishing position. What was that like? Were there some kind of hair-raising moments where you were almost caught in incidents, or was it relatively clean? It was just, oh, let me drive around you real quick.
Yeah, I definitely caught some lucky breaks there. I don't think any of the spins or contact happened like immediately in front of me. So it was nice to have kind of like about a like I was at the entry and the contact was at the exit, so I could at least see through the corner and try and steer and avoid some of that stuff. But it was a bit had to be really patient because I'm not used to racing against a lot of those guys and knowing their tendencies. So it was just making sure that I didn't give up too much time to that lead pack, but still make sure I got through cleanly because you can't finish the race if you pick up damage or wreck out. So it was all just about trying to get to the end, and yeah, definitely got helped out with some people having mistakes of their own.
That we're going to let you go so you can celebrate with your team. Before we do, is there anybody that you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I got to thank my team Downforce Racing. I got Nick Daly and Carl Lemkool. I know we're rivals when we're out here on track in CIL, but those guys put in a lot of effort and help racing everything officially and make this a lot of fun. And thanks to all you guys at CIL for putting it on. I love racing the series and talking with all you guys in the Discord.
Yeah, congratulations on another sprint race win. He's got a heck of a points haul this season, and that title campaign starts off with a bang for Ted Burns, University of Madison, Wisconsin. Congratulations, man.
Thank you guys. Hope to see you next week.
Well, Josh, what a heck of a race we saw out there today. We saw the hot, slippery track, a very tricky track. No two corners alike here at Laguna Seca, especially the corkscrew. We saw plenty of passes, plenty of slips, trips, and falls out there on the track, and a really nice battle for the win there in both sprint races. So how about you take us through these final results?
I will. You just heard from your winner from the University of Wisconsin, Ted Burns, followed by Ball State University, our Muhammad Alif. Texas Arlington going to bring it home third via Nick Daly, and Southern California's Max Uy going to grab that fourth position. Cale Davidson going to have fifth position for Ball State again, and St. John's University following up another strong performance at Alton Park with a P6 this week. IUPUI going to have Cohen Evans in P7. Eighth position going to be taken home by Minnesota and Lucas Santos. Athena Leclerc going to bring St. Clair College home for a ninth place finish. And top 10 going to be rounded out by Luis Diaz for that Panther Esports effort from Florida International University. Rose Holman going to be brought home by John Dinkle in 11th place. And James Madison University and Matt Stoecki going to find themselves in 12th at the end of this one. Nick Patinella in 13th for Robert Morris University, and 14th with Alex Diamond at Drexel University. Robert Morris and Tyler Klingensmith going to have 15th position. Michael Tognati and the College of San Mateo in P16. That 22 machine Penn College of Technology going to be in P17 for Austin DeLong, and Beloit College up there in Minnesota, Sean Bassin in the 18th position. You can see Jason Walla from Drexel University, the second entry for that car, 19th position. And at the conclusion of it all, Fanshawe College and Chris Preston going to be P20 after that disconnect there. Unfortunate before crossing the line. Valparaiso University's Soren Burkholder going to be 21st, followed by Diego Nunez and Anthony Pacheco from Florida International University. Finally, Esteban Munoz as well from that Panther Sports effort, FIU, and then Alexander Piccini from Santa Maria Federal University in 25th position, and 26th position will be Carl Lemkool from St. Louis University, who you actually heard called out by our winner, Ted Burns. And I think, Zach, that all of our racetracks should be sunny and about 110 degrees for the balance of our schedule.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Mother Nature cooperates with that for the rest of the season, but that was an incredible set of sprint races that we saw out there here for the West Coast Grand Prix. A couple of talking points I want to talk about. It's so good to see Chris Preston and R. Muhammad Alif back. These two were involved in the title fight last season in Formula C. So two heavy hitters have made their return to the circuits in the CIL Formula C. So great to see them back. But I think the biggest talking point right now is Ted Burns. Can anybody step up to the challenge and knock off Ted Burns? He's won 3 of the 4 sprint races so far this season in and he's dominant so far, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime now. So if you're one of the gamblers out there and you're looking to place some bets, I think Ted Burns is going to be your guy who walks away with the title this season. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody comes out of the depths. Maybe a Leaf comes back with Chris Preston. Nick Daly can mount another title charge as well. But I really don't see anybody getting near Ted Burns this season.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm ready, Zach, to put it on ice after 2 races, but I do think that it's really exciting to see the battle that we have shaping up. It's going to be key for these drivers to evidently, bring their best stuff. And I do think that Ted Burns, what stands out to me right now, just super comfortable in a race car. We talked about in Heat 1 the move to the inside again into the final turn, that set up that performance. Someone that has the racing intuition, and then we even saw it kind of in the closing 2 to 4 laps of the final race, where was really comfortable in the car and managed, basically being in the middle of that sandwich, handled it really well. So I think that is going to be something that benefits him, in his career and in this season. And Wisconsin is going to love having him atop the roster. But Zach, in conclusion, just like we saw tonight, I can't answer until it's over. It's going to be exciting to see as we go to different tracks. By the way, we enjoyed kind of this shorter track. Laguna Seca tends to keep the cars very close together. Where are we going in 2 weeks? We're going to Tsukuba that you mentioned a little bit ago. So I think that's going to be another track that makes these drivers think. They're going to have to be really tactical because unfortunately this is not like Nashville. We can't all be driving over top of each other.
Yeah, if there was ever short track racing in Formula cars, it's going to be at Tsukuba Circuit as we go 2 weeks from now on our social media channels, Twitch and YouTube, live for our Formula C Japanese Grand Prix. It's a very short track. We should be seeing sub 1 minute lap times from these drivers. Very fast, very quick, and we'll see a lot of our field bunched up together. Maybe some tempers flaring. You never know, but our title fights only heat up from here, and I'm excited to see what our drivers do in 2 weeks' time. But if you can't wait for more CIL action, our College Cup Series will be back next Monday night at around 9 o'clock Eastern Time with our Richmond race in the College Cup Series. So be sure you don't miss that, as well as the return of the Student Short Track Series next Wednesday night, also at 9 o'clock. We had a great season opener at USA International. A lot of chaos, some new faces in the CIL that did really, really well. And I think everybody in our Student Short Track Showdown is really enjoying that series, puts on a great show. So be sure that you don't miss any of our CIL action coming up in the next week. And I believe that will do it for us tonight here from our West Coast Grand Prix at Laguna Seca. So on behalf of myself, my co-commentator Josh, and producer Matt, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in to tonight's production of the Collegiate iRacing League. And until next time, stay fast.